I'm Dr. David Vitko, the inventor of the BackTrac Back Massager. I invented the BackTrac to give my patients a tool they could use at home to both relieve pain when it happens and to prevent pain from coming back. The BackTrac provides 5 important treatments at once in the privacy of your own home. It creates acupressure in the muscles, it massages the muscles with a deep invigorating massage, it frees up stuck spinal joints, it creates traction along the length of the spine, and as a bonus, while you're getting a great massage, it also tones your hips and abs. What more could you ask? Denise and I are here today to show you how the BackTrac can help you to feel better immediately, relieving back pain and stress, and keep you feeling well over the long term just by using it a few minutes a day. Okay, to get the most out of the BackTrac, the first thing you want to do is just lie on it on your back. And when you lay on it and your head is laying across the neck rollers, you want to position the neck rollers so that they're just pressing on the tender spots on the back of your skull, on the bottom of the occiput. And you'll notice that Denise is laying right where those balls press right up on her neck. This is a source of a lot of tension and headaches for people. And when people come to my office, I actually press my fingers into those spots while I'm tractioning the neck and hold that for 30 seconds or so to offer them some relief. The BackTrac does that very well, and it's not dependent on me being able to hold it for a long period of time. So this does that very effectively. While she's laying here on the BackTrac, she's got 32 massage rollers pressing into the muscles, depending on your size. She's a little thinner, so some of them are off to the side a little bit. But for the average person, you have at least 20 or so acupressure points being stimulated at one time. Now the key to acupressure is, in Chinese medicine, acupuncture points or acupressure points are gateways basically for energy to flow. And by holding pressure on those points over a period of time, you can actually release that energy to get better flow throughout the muscles and the skin in the area. And so by simply lying on the BackTrac for just 30 seconds or so, you'll notice that you start to kind of melt into it. Your muscles soften up and loosen up, and you get kind of a relaxed feeling. That's when you know that you've gotten the full acupressure effect. So to get the massage effect from the BackTrac, Denise is going to use her legs to propel herself back and forth across the surface of the BackTrac. Now, in there you have, again, anywhere between 28 and 32 rollers contacting the body at any given time. And you only have to go a couple of inches to hit every muscle twice. What this has is almost a squeegee effect on the muscles. It helps to force old fluids out of the muscles, and that creates a void in the muscle, allowing new fluids to bring in fresh nutrients and to actually heal muscles and help them to be in a more relaxed state. That's important for people that have chronic stress, chronic tension in their backs, because when you can do this every day, for instance, when you have a BackTrac at home, you know, as opposed to trying to go to the doctor every day, see a chiropractor, massage therapist every day, which gets very expensive, you can actually do this every day and you can get improvement in the muscles over time. Okay, to get the traction effect from the BackTrac, the first thing we do is roll up so that your neck is laying on the neck rollers and your head is hanging off over the end. Now the weight of your head is actually stretching the discs and the joints and the muscles in your neck. So you get a nice light little stretcher. You can stay here as long as you like. Go ahead and scoot down a little bit, Denise, and we'll get some traction on the low back now. And so the massage rollers are pressing up into the lumbar spine now, just above the pelvis. And Denise's pelvis is hanging just off the end of the BackTrac. So her pelvis is actually the weight that's drawing on the discs and the joints and the muscles of the low back now. That way we get a nice stretch on that lumbar spine. If you work at a desk all day, or you drive for a living, or you're the average person that gets home at the end of a long day and has to mow the grass, riding on a lawn tractor, and you get this cramp in the shoulder, this knot, it just doesn't go away, the BackTrac is great for working that out. So if you cross your arms across your chest, it moves the scapula, the shoulder blades, out of the way, and it opens up the rhomboid and trap muscles for the massage rollers to contact them really deeply. And you can just lay there on it first and let that pressure of the rollers work it out. And then you can use your legs to roll across it and roll across the BackTrac and loosen those joints up and also massage that knot out of the muscles. Nothing gets close to how this thing works for that problem. If you want to increase the massage effect on it, simply roll further up this direction, lifting your head as you go. Just lift your head up and roll up this way, Dennis, so that your back goes on these upper rollers, these neck rollers. And it takes a little effort, but when you get up in there, you notice it really works deeply. There's one more thing we can do to help fix that problem in your back so it doesn't come back. You can just stop right there, Denise, and put your arms up above your head and just lay there and let your arms hang and let gravity work for you, and it'll actually stretch the pectoralis muscles out. And for people that are starting to get a hunch in their upper back as they get a little older, this is a great way to put a little pressure on that area to kind of help straighten that out a little bit. If you just roll up this way a little bit now, until these two neck rollers, the larger rollers, get right down in that upper back, you'll notice it really puts a lot of pressure on there. If you lay there for a little while, it starts to release and relieve the tension in there, and this is a great way to work the tension out. Now, if you picture an egg between your shoulder blades, and you slowly bring your elbows down toward your hips and try to squeeze that egg with your shoulder blades, and hold that, just hold it right there for about 30 seconds, and you notice the tension really mounting in here, and then after you let go, it melts away. So if you ride bicycles a lot, if you run, or if you walk a lot as I do, you might end up getting kind of a cramped feeling in your hip that extends down the outside of your leg and even makes your knee ache on the outside. The BackTrac is a great way to work that tensor fasciae lata muscle spasm out. And so what I do is I put my lateral hip, where the muscle is the TFL muscle, and I let my lateral thigh lay on the BackTrac. All I do is work just like this, up and down, across these neck rollers, and it works that tension out great. Every athlete should have one of these because that's a common problem for athletes. Okay, one of the other specialized techniques I like to use to release the tension in my upper back, and athletes, weightlifters, people that work with their hands a lot during the day, and weight, bricklayers, things like that, we'll find this to be really helpful. You tend to get those knots in the mid-back and the tension that builds up in the spinal joints in that mid-back. By crossing your arms and getting the shoulder blades out of the way and using your legs to roll while lifting the hips, you actually put more weight on that upper back. And if you roll up a little further so that these large neck rollers get down into the mid-back, you'll get a few releases in there, get a few cracks in your spine basically. That's a good thing because that's the joints loosening up. And this will massage the muscles to the point where they'll just relax. It's wonderful. Okay, one of the things that I like to do, particularly for my low back, is to get my low back on these large rollers. It's a little tougher to do, but it's worth the effort because it'll really stretch the lumbar muscles and get the joints moving very freely. So what I do is just pull this up to my low back, slowly lay back over it, and get those rollers pressing just above the hips on the lumbar spine, and then just let my hips hang there for just about 30 seconds and let some stretch take place in that low back. It takes about 30 seconds for a muscle to release when it's stretched, and by just hanging in there for 30 seconds, you get the muscles out of the way, and now you're able to really get some mobility in the lumbar joints. And again, it's not unusual to get a little pop or crack down in the low back here. It's just the lumbar facet joints releasing. It's really intense.